Hey everybody, welcome to the channel, True Crime Stories. If you're new to the channel, please hit that like button and subscribe so you can hear more. Thanks for stopping by. Before I get into today's video, I wanted to give a shout out to a viewer who commented on one of my videos recently. This is at Joan Cavanaugh 965. This was on my video, Too Young to Drink, Too Young to Die, and the murder of Jay Farley in West Virginia. She said, her comment was, I watched this story on another bigger channel, and honestly, you did a better, more thorough job and presented a lot of facts and insights into their characters that the other channel did not. And I thanked her on that, and I wanted to thank her here again because it means a lot to me when there are people who do comment and give feedback. Like she said, my channel is smaller. I'm not monetized. I have under 2,000 viewers. And on some of my videos, I'm lucky if I get 2 likes and 2 comments. But it doesn't, that is not the reason that I do this. And like she said, I try to bring insight into who these people were, whether or not the police put in a whole lot of effort into their disappearance, finding them, getting information about this. And in the case of Jay Farley and Maisie Palmer, they really didn't. And so to me, what I try to do in my videos is I try to look at the story from the viewpoint of the families and the people who are wondering, where is my child? I've watched some videos myself that were completely AI, and you'll be watching the story. And I mean, these may have thousands of views, thousands of likes, thousands of comments, but the video itself is done using AI voice, and they get the words wrong, they mispronounce words, and there's no emotion to it, there's no thought behind it. So I just wanted to thank her for taking the time to, say that. And now this one is Devil Dog Doe. And this is from Unidentified Wiki. Now, I just recently read this woman's story. Devil Dog Doe was the nickname given to a woman who was found murdered in a wooded area in Arizona. What it is they just recently did a new rendering of her image, what they thought she might look like, compared to some of the older ones that was done years back, and it gives a little bit more of a picture of what this woman might have looked like. The victim was discovered lying face down in a wooded area near Devil Dog Road, near intersection 40 in Williams, Arizona. It is believed she had been killed somewhere else and dumped in this location. She died from blunt force trauma to the head. Isotope testing has indicated that the victim could originate from somewhere in Central Europe, such as Austria, and maybe had spent some of her later years in her life in France. She had eaten 1 to 3 hours prior to her murder. Now, I just want to say something about isotope testing. I've seen some cases where they've used isotope testing and they've said this person might have spent many years of their childhood living in Texas or Oklahoma. And then once their identities return to them, this person may have been from Michigan or Indiana and never spent any of their life in those places. So it doesn't necessarily mean that this woman was from France or she was from Austria. Or with isotope testing, from my understanding, is what's found in our bodies is over time. It's like It's like dust that settles in our homes. It comes from somewhere. It come, and over time it builds up, and this happens inside of our bodies. These isotopes from pollen or from certain types of dust that we may come into contact with, and in different locations. Certain types of grasses grow, certain types of trees, and we breathe this stuff in and it builds up in our bodies. If I'm wrong about this, someone tell me and I will correct myself. So, to put it a little bit more simply, what I understand about isotope testing in the context of DNA testing and forensic science, isotope analysis is a technique that acts like a geographical GPS. They kind of determined areas of the country or the world where people have traveled or lived. There's elements like oxygen, carbon that our body stores in our teeth, our bones, our hair. And some of these come from specific regions. So now, she had gray bob style hair with a little bit of blonde in it. Her eyes were brown or hazel. She had manicured nails, and she had had over $20,000 at least in extensive dental work. This is a woman who took care of herself. She had put a lot of money into her appearance, into her teeth. She took the time to do her nails or have her nails done. She had a scar on her right knee. She had a scar on the back of her right forearm and on the back of her left hand. She had pneumonia in her right lung, and she had evidence of heart disease. It's believed that she may have been a heavy smoker due to calcification that was found in her arteries. There was some bruising on the back of her right upper arm. Could have been possible that someone had grabbed her by the arm, had led her, dragged her, or something like that, that would have put those bruises there. They put her age at about 35 to 55. Now, when you look at the composite drawings of some of the earlier composites, she looked older. She looked like she was probably closer to 65 in these photos. And then this new rendering of her, she looks a little younger. Looks like she could have been maybe in her late 40s. But we never know. Like I said, this woman, whoever she was, she took the time to have her hair done. She took the time to have her nails done. She'd taken care of her teeth. Unidentified white female homicide victim. Case history. On October the 24th, 2003, the victim was discovered off Devil Dog Road, about a mile south of Interstate 40. The victim was killed in a different location from a single blow to the head. It is estimated that she could have been dead up to 2 weeks when she was discovered. Now, in this article, they have estimated her age at 55 to 65. Now, distinguishing characteristics: short gray hair with some blonde. Her nails were beautifully manicured. There is a strong indication of heart disease. She had a 70% blockage in her left coronary artery. She also had calcification in her arteries that could have been a heavy smoker or a diabetic or both. She did not have pierced ears or any tattoos, and there were no apparent tan lines. She had extensive dental restorations. She had significant restorations, including a 3-unit bridge. The victim's fingernails were obtained, but they were not of great quality, and so far, no match has been found in the FBI's files. So it says here, if you have any information, please contact 1-800-388-7888. You may also contact 928-226-5033. You may remain anonymous. So, someone out there, did anyone ever report a woman missing who could have been anywhere from mid to late 40s to mid 60s who would have fit this description? Maybe not in Arizona, could have been New Mexico, Colorado, could have been California. I'm sure, like they said, they did get fingerprints, but they were not the best quality. She died from a single blow to the head. It doesn't go into any details other than a bruise on her right arm, whether or not there was any other bodily injuries. Could this have been a simple carjacking? Maybe this woman was driving on this highway. They said she was located about a mile off of the highway. Maybe she broke down. Maybe she stopped for someone else who was broke down. I don't know. I'm just kind of thinking to myself what might have happened to this woman. It's been 23 years since she was found. They believe her to have been around 5'5" tall, weighing somewhere around 150 pounds. This was a woman who took care of herself. You would think that someone out there would say to themselves, this could have been my cousin, my neighbor, a friend, a mom, or, someone out there who wonders whatever happened to this person and would know someone who went to great lengths to pay to have their teeth fixed. Maybe someone remembers a lady in earlier life who had really poor teeth and took the money to, have this done to fix her smile and her teeth. You would think that someone out there would know something. But this could have been a woman who was unmarried, who didn't have any children, and over time, maybe people just kind of, let it go. There was nothing to say what kind of clothing she was wearing or whether or not she was even dressed. There was no accessories around her. They said that she had no tattoos, no earrings. A deceased woman was discovered lying face down in a wooded area near Devil Dog Road, near Interstate 40 in Williams, Arizona. It is believed she had been killed elsewhere and dumped at this location. She had died from blunt force trauma to the head. For some reason, someone suggested that this woman might have served some time in the military, and that maybe that was the reason why they thought that she might have spent some time in France, Austria, some of these other locations. Could she not have even been from the Arizona area or any of the states surrounding Arizona? And here's the thing about the teeth. Does anybody, any dentist, have they put out, the types of dental work that she had done, they say was extensive, up to $20,000 or in excess of. It just tells each tooth and each one that she had. And have they compared these dental records to anyone who would fit her description? Because dentists do keep records. And most of this dental work was probably done here in the United States. So, I would wonder about that. I mean, it might take a while, but that would be something that someone could take the time to do, is to go through and have dentists check that type of dental work. Maybe some of them would even remember a woman who didn't just have one or two procedures, but this was work that was done over a long period of time, many different procedures. The rendering that they did recently compared to some of the older ones. The older pictures of her that they drew to describe what she may have looked like. This one looks like a completely different woman. I mean, just with her hair was a little bit longer, and she did appear to be a little bit younger. So maybe that was just their idea to try to show different possibilities of who she might have been. So as I was doing the video and talking about the Devil Dog Jane Doe, whose body was found, it led to another story of a teenage girl who was found close to this same area. I personally don't think that the two cases were connected in any way because such a long period of time between the two, but anything is possible. But I'm going to talk about her story in a separate video because I'm going to talk about the man who they suspect of having been responsible for killing her and who she was last seen with, who they believe that she was last seen with. And I'm going to talk about some of his crimes and some of the missing women and young girls, especially young girls, who are still missing, who were found murdered, but these cases were never solved, but they do think it was linked back to him. So I'm going to talk about that in a separate video because if I hadn't, it would have been super long. But I hope that you will come back and follow up with the next video, and thanks for watching.